Alright, so I appointed myself in charge of Thanksgiving dinner. I've never made a full spread before, and this year I wanted to do it all on my own. Of course, my mom will be making like some side stuff like the green beans, but for the most part I'm in charge of the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the mac and cheese, and of course the stuffing doesn't take that long. It's just the stovetop one. So I've never made a turkey before, but how hard can it be? I made a small rotisserie chicken before, I think maybe once or twice while I was in Florida. Of course, the turkey is bigger, so like the treatment is going to be slightly different, but I imagine like putting the spices and rubs and everything on it shouldn't be that complicated. So yesterday, I YouTubed how to like prep it. Actually, one of my mom's friends had called her and told her like that I needed to brine it. And so then we went ahead and watched a video on YouTube, and it says to brine it and to use like whatever spices you have. So the gentleman that I watched had put like sliced oranges, onions, some rosemary, some thyme, and I think some honey in the water and brought it to a boil to make the brine out of it. So I don't have all of those things. So I'm like, well, I'll just use what I have. So I used salt. It has to be salt. Kosher salt, some granulated sugar, which I was shocked. I'm like, what is sugar doing in the brine? And then I cut some onions in it. I put some garlic. Then I put some thyme, some rosemary, like they're all dried. The thyme and the rosemary are dried, and some oregano. That's the last thing I put in there. All dried spices in the water, brought it to a boil, poured it in a bucket. It took a little bit of moving around the bird to figure out how we're going to submerge this thing in water. And then we found a bucket that my brother had once used to make kombucha, because my brother loves making kombucha. He doesn't like buying it in the store. So we found that bucket, and then boom, it fit. Not all the way, which is what I'm about to show you. So I submerged it in the brine. So I poured the brine in the bucket and put some cold water, because you never want to put that turkey in a hot brine because it starts to cook it right away. You don't want that. So I poured some cold water from the tap in the bucket and poured the brine on it, and then added some more water and then put my turkey in it. It fit, but like it's only like the turkey tail that's sticking out. So what I'm about to do is like take it over to the sink and flip it over so the tail can get some love too. So I'm about to show you what that is. So this is what I'm talking about. The turkey has been submerged in here all night, and so yeah, you can see my onions and like my spices floating around. So I'm gonna take this over to the sink and flip it around. I wouldn't do it on here because I could drop this turkey and it's gonna be a whole mess. This is our deep freezer, by the way. So like, yeah, I do not want to be doing that here. And so yeah, we're gonna do that, and I'll show you once I flip it over. And then I'm just gonna let it sit on the table, because later on I'm going to take it out of this and put my dry it up and put my spices on it. So yeah, they said if you want your turkey to be juicy, you have to do this, otherwise it's going to come out dry. So yep, let's do it. All right, so I flipped my bird over, and later on tonight, so maybe like around like 5, because I have to work super early tomorrow. I work at 6 o'clock tomorrow, so I'm trying to be in bed by 7 p.m., 7 or 8, and I typically don't go to bed that early. I can't sleep that early, but I'm gonna have to make it work. So later on tonight, like around 5, I'm going to like pull this out of water, dry it, and put it in here. Of course, I'm going to like remove that paper and rinse this off. So once I put it in here, then I can put my oil and my spices on it and just let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow is when I put it in the oven. Okay, so I'm getting ready to make mac and cheese. The macaroni is already cooked. I'm just waiting for it to cool a little bit so that when I pour all my other stuff on it, it doesn't cook it, because it has eggs in the mix and I don't want it to cook before it goes in the oven. Let me show you guys what else I have happening. So in here I put 3 eggs, 2 cans of evaporated milk, a little bit of whole milk, I think like 3 or 4 heaping scoops of sour cream, a little bit of seasoning. It's like a Cajun seasoning or something like that, Creole like seasoning blend, just a little bit. And then I'll put the butter in later, and then I'm gonna just blend that all up. You see it's not really blended. See the egg yolk right there? And then I'll put my macaroni here and pour everything on top of it. And then I have my cheese here. Got my cheeses. I'll put some cheese in here as well. And then I'm going to use this habanero cheddar so it can be a little spicy. And I'll show you guys the finished product in a little bit. So here's my mac and cheese. It's ready but not quite. So I'm moving it into this other pan and I'm going to put it in the smaller toaster because this oven that this was in scares me. Like, it was dripping. It was so full, it was dripping, and then almost started a fire. So I have to move this in here and just use a smaller toaster. So yeah, not all the way I want it. So we're gonna put it back in the oven so you can see it's still steaming. Alright, so that's our mashed potatoes made from scratch. Here's my mac and cheese, green beans. There's my beautiful bird. Stuffing. We stuffed some stuffing inside the bird. Cranberry and cake with coconuts in it, coconut flakes.